I have remade Mario's model. It has more color depth and 4 to 8 times higher resolution textures with anti-aliasing while running better than the old model on an N64. The N64 has a hard limit on all of those things, which is why this was difficult to pull off, and I will go in depth about how exactly I did this later. Now, don't get me wrong. The one in the base game fits well within its context, and I have no issues with it. And the higher resolution textures probably don't make as big of a difference on a real N64 as they do on my emulator screenshots, but as far as the N64 goes, the performance of this new model is about 30% quicker. That means this model looks better and performs better, regardless of whether you play on an N64 or an emulator. Let me explain how I did it. The N64 has a hard limit of 4 kilobyte texture sizes. That means a texture with colors can't be bigger than 64 by 32 pixels. So how did I increase the resolution? First of all, the eyes originally only were 32 by 32. That makes it straightforward to double the resolution. Second, this texture could easily be mirrored, because it's symmetrical. The N64 supports this. I don't know why they didn't do it. So this is the final eye. Making this long ride was very difficult. It took us about 15 tries and way too much time before I had something that was liked. This is a 32 by 64 mirror texture, meaning the effective resolution is 4 times higher. You may notice a weird skin color crust around the eye. This is the anti-aliasing technique used. This is an RGBA 16 texture. Each pixel holds 1 bit alpha and 5 bits of color as shown in this image. With just 1 bit of alpha, anti-aliasing should not be possible. Instead, we opt to anti-aliase by blending the rims into Mario's skin color. It looks very crusty on the image, but in-game it is indistinguishable from real anti-aliasing, and it fixes the hard edges the eyes used to have. This was done for all of Mario's textures. I've also added a texture to Mario's shoe, because I think it just looks much cuter this way. I just want to say, eyes are hell to make. It took over a dozen of revisions. Humans' eyes have evolved to be so picky about eyes. I never want to make eyes again. Here's a blender view of the old model and the new model side by side. Here you can see pretty well how the new HD textures look much smoother than the old ones. I've mentioned before that this model runs quicker on N64 than the old one. How does it do it? The secret lies in the polygon count. I bet you never would have guessed that one. The old model here has 760 triangles with 418 vertices, while the new model has 575 triangles with 305 vertices. That is 205 triangles down and 113 vertices down. Much faster in processing. How come this new model has much less polygons despite looking the same detail? The secret lies in abusing the animation system and the vertex buffer of the N64. Here's an example of what that looks in practice. This is one of the original Mario 64 joints. It's just 2 fat rolls that are interlinked with each other with polygons like this. The way this looks in animation is like this. It has to close these polygons with an extra triangle just so you don't see them open up in gameplay. Connecting them using individual vertex weights was not possible back in the day because the N64 could not handle the processing requirements. And here's my solution. I connected them with triangles by abusing the N64 vertex buffer and the matrix stack. This allows me not to have these extra polygons, and it closes the animation limbs. You can also see that I gave it some extra triangles right here, just so the animation looks better. This is where the extra detail of the new model comes in. If you look at the old model, you can see that this has 88 triangles, while the new model only has 68. This is because of the more efficient polygon usage. It is also important to note that this is not equal to modern dev skinning. This is kind of like a cheat code that only works on N64. Mario 64 uses an interesting method of shading its models. The shadows interpolate between a dark and a bright color depending on the vertices angles from the camera. I believe the Mario 64 devs implemented this technique to increase the depth perception and help the players navigate levels back in the day. The default model simply interpolates between a color and a darker counterpart of this color. We can use this property of the N64 by using 2 hue shifted colors to give Mario's model some more color depth. This ends up giving us these colors, and I quite like this effect, although I do understand if you don't think this is an objective improvement. Arguably, this wouldn't fit the original game art style as well as the old one, but it definitely fits the mod I'm developing here. And that's that. Huge shoutouts to all my patrons for making this possible. I wouldn't have nearly as much time to work on my mod stuff without them. Hope you guys liked this N64 deep dive, and let me know what you think of this model. I'm currently reading through the entire Mario 64 source code and optimizing every function I find. I'm going slightly insane right now, but I hope to still be able to make a video about this later in December. See ya!